one question people are asking is whether projects are becoming more complex, or whether projects are what they've always been and it's just the world that is becoming more complex.
Exactly.
What do you think?
I think so. I think absolutely agree, because complexity probably is also based on the complexity of the difference, the variety of human beings. Different generations. I mean, I usually was working with people around the same generation or very extreme generations, but now it's a combination. We have Generation Y, Generation X, Generation Z, Millennials, and so on. So how to manage this type of complexity is one of the things that, for sure, robots and artificial intelligence cannot cover, at least totally.
Yes, but do you think that's then built into the nature of projects, that projects themselves are more complex because the teams are now from multiple generations?
But not only because the people, but also because the challenges that our society, is trying to achieve in terms of, not only political changes, but also our society in terms of economy, in terms of financial situation, in terms of equality among different people and different nations. And it was really nice to see that there are still more than 80,000 projects to be managed worldwide. It was one of the figures that was managed in the last Congress. So this is one of the things that we can say to the future project managers is, for sure, you will have work enough.
Work to do, yes. And of course, one of the areas of complexity is different national cultures.
Yep.
And we've both travelled a lot. I think I've worked in 57 different countries, or maybe 58 now. And that idea that every national culture is different.
Absolutely.
But project management is project management. And I'm not sure that's really always true, because aspects of planning and risk management and stakeholder engagement and communication, all of these things are actually culturally determined, aren't they?
Absolutely, they are. I think the understanding of people, I think I had several experiences during 4 or 5 years in the Middle East. So in the Middle East, the approaches and the way in which, they are starting up a project are not completely different, but a little bit different than they do, for instance, in the south of Europe.
And the level of authority of a project manager in the Middle East is very different from in the States.
Of course.
And you're making your first trip to China soon, I think?
Yeah, I will be, making my first trip to China in a week.
That'll be different.
Yeah, it will be different for sure. In fact, I met Japanese people and Korean people, and I saw the difference. I met Indian people, and they are also different approaches. I can remember in a software development project, talking with one guy about our meeting will be next Monday. And next Monday for me is next Monday. And it will be the 24th or 26th, I don't know the date, but will be exactly this date. For them will be any Monday.
Somewhere in the next Monday.
In the next Monday,
So we need to train people in terms of cultural competence, don't we? Cultural intelligence.
Of course.
Because more and more we're going to have virtual teams that are multiple nationalities, especially as the new generations come, the digital natives and the digital immersed, who take that kind of global connectivity as natural.
Absolutely.
And so they're going to be wanting to communicate and work within project teams, people of multiple cultures, but not to be tripped over by the things of saving face, or of the way you express conflict, the way you think about hierarchy. All these things are really important in projects.
Of course.
So we're going to have to work out how we can apply the principles of project management in a culturally sensitive way.
Absolutely. Every culture, as you said, is absolutely different. They have different expectations, and in checking with, we are arranging or preparing a seminar, a workshop, just setting up the expectation at the beginning, because every seminar is a project. And trying to understand their expectation is taking more time. I remember it was crazy, because I'm Spanish. I was born in Spain, and it's very strange because my grandparents are from Spain. My parents also were from Spain. And it was more difficult for me to be able to be understood by people from South America or Central America.
Yes.
It was taking more time.
Even though the language is the same.
Probably.
Yes.
Exactly. Using the language the same it was more difficult than communicating in English or French or whatever.
Because the cultures are so different.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
that's
cultural aspects, I think, is one of the...
And that's something I found really interesting in my career, is being able to work in all these different countries. I've worked in every continent except the Antarctic, which is just too cold. It's even colder than England. But I think one of the things is a great delight to me is the ability to see different cultures and how these things work.
Of course. I have been also in many countries, probably less than yourself. I have been also Arctic and been in China because I never been in China. But for instance, when I went to Australia or when I have been in Africa, Africa is a totally different world.
Yes, I love Africa.
Absolutely, it's very nice, and this is amazing the amount of nice people they have, and the great opportunities a project manager may have if they have the possibility of managing a project over there.
Yes,
so
yes. I think we have a great future, or project management has a great future ahead.
Of course.
We are.
I think I always, I have 3 children, 3 adults right now, and I always tell them, you are blessed because you have the opportunity to be in relationship from an early age, with different cultures.
Yes.
And I didn't. No. Because my first trip outside Spain was at the age of 23.
Right, yes.
They were traveling from the age of 6 months.
And in the next 6 weeks, you're going to be in 5 countries?
In 5 countries,
so there we are, yes.
So it's the thing is just a change in my behavior and my way of delivery, consulting and training from Beijing in China to United States in Vegas, and then from London, and then going to Norway, Oslo. So I usually, for instance, I am telling jokes when I am trying to engage people in seminars.
Very
and so
dangerous.
On. So it's very dangerous because it's a real challenge, to tell the nice story that seems to be a nice story for Spanish people, but maybe a very bad story for anybody else. Do you have experience about that?
Absolutely. Well, we've had the same thing just between us, haven't we, where we've misunderstood simple words because we have a different background.
Of course.
We need a common language of project management. That would solve everything.
Of course. Thank you, David.
It's a pleasure.